Good morning, class. I'm Brennan Watts, and I'll be talking about high stress levels and low retention rates in law enforcement agencies. So as a criminal justice major, like one of the few, the many, the proud, just like Marines, I decided to just look into some of the negatives in law enforcement after, so I want to join law enforcement after I graduate college. And when you're assessing jobs and stuff, you always look at the pros and cons. And one of the major cons I discovered in law enforcement was the high stress levels, and as a result, low retention rates. So I'm like, why is this happening? Like, what can I get out of this? So, let's see. Yeah,
No, point of it.
There's two arrows.
There we go. So I'll be going over what I discovered through my literature review, my method section, my results that I would have projected, and a discussion of what I feel like could have been done better in the research that I wanted to do. So I discovered that stress is the body's ability to cope or just not be able to overcome special demands placed on the body. And further research and multiple sources notified that there are two types of stressors that everyone tends to deal with in this type of work, which is psychological stressors and also physical stressors. And some psychological stressors can be overloading workload, or you don't have enough resources to do your job, or interpersonal relationships that just make your job super difficult to go to work every day. And in addition, you can also have physical stressors, which may include you maybe breaking a bone on the job, or maybe hitting your head and having a concussion, you're not able to go into work. Or maybe your mental strain is just getting to you and you're not able to sleep at night, and you just feel like you can't go to work anymore. And so I found that law enforcement agencies just tend to have lower retention rates because of certain stressors that include, oh, am I going to get shot today? Or am I going to have to break up this fight? Or am I going to have to resolve this issue? And what if I don't know how to do this? What if I don't have the resources to do this? So it just keeps on putting a lot of pressure on certain officers, and they question coming back at the end of the day. And it's just shown in multiple research studies that officers and agents they don't want to come back to the type of work that they're doing, so they opt to leave, causing lower retention rates and the work. And I was like, hey, what can this be solved by? And I discovered that retention rates could be shifted if they got psychological treatment in terms of going to therapy sessions, going to a medical advisor, even having their law enforcement agencies check up on them regularly and give them steps that they could walk through to ensure that they want to come back every day. And so in order to do this, I was like, hey, I'm going to take 250 law enforcement agents, both male and female, and they're going to be ranged from 23 to 50 years. Preferably they would have 10 years of experience in the field, but just any experience was very valid in this research. And I wanted to discover in my design whether or not, on a 10 scale, 10 question survey, if the stress levels were too much, and also if they could be resolved by having medical attention as well. Which is why I used in my materials, I used an internet survey, and I would have intended to email, call, and collect participants that way in order for them to just do it on their own time and not feel rushed as well. And I would use a laptop in the sense of being able to compile all of the data in Excel and just make sure it's all secure and everything's good. And my procedure would be as well, after they were contacted, they filled out the consent form, they would receive an email with instructions to take and submit the survey, and then I would compile all the results and email them back and just give them see like, hey, would you like further information on this study? Or would you like me to stop? Because some people just don't like to be pestered after they participated in something. Which is where I found my projected results, and I would see that like psychological treatment would benefit law enforcement agents, and the strong relationship between the medical aid would increase retention rates. However, a lot of people, when you want help, they don't want to get it. They don't want to be told to get it. So I think there would be like a strongly like negative relationship between seeking medical attention and actually having it provided and pushed for. Which is where I went to my discussion section, and I determined that a lot of the results would be pushing towards medical treatment and how it would aid all of these law enforcement officers and agents, but I would also determine that there'd be some negatives, of course, and some of the limitations would be the sample size not being too big, which would point me to the next position of broadening my scale, because I only looked at local police officers and also FBI agents, and I feel if I went broader on that scale in terms of going to the CIA or DEA, I would have a broader scale of different types of agents and officers. In summary, I went over why I decided to study this, what I discovered in my literature review, my methods section, my results, and also my discussion. This concludes my presentation. Are there any questions?